Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I'm making sure that I've done all of the stuff. All right. I thought we were going to go to the mall, but never mind. We're going to another
side quest area.
Yeah. So the game overall is fairly easy. As to be expected from a Kirby game, they're not really meant to be super challenging. I would say, though, however, if you are feeling like you want a little bit more out of it and like you want a little bit more oomph, these challenge rooms are actually fairly difficult to get the secret times for. And they kind of add a little bit more oomph to the experience if you think that the main ride is just a little too breezy.
I watch so many streamers just endlessly retry these for the par times.
Yeah.
Thinking that, if you're giving me par times, there's got to be something that if I do them all, right? It's like, nope.
You get like 10 extra coins.
50 coins for each one. And it's like, that's a neat bonus, but if you get every target time in the game, it doesn't give you anything.
Yeah, it's mostly just to be like, you did it.
It doesn't even count to 100%.
It doesn't count to 100%? Really?
Yeah,
wow.
It doesn't.
You get a little check mark, and it's like, yeah, I feel compelled to do that, though.
Yeah. So, like, the main game, honestly, I don't know if it's the easiest Kirby game. The first game's pretty dang easy. But it's fairly comfortable. Like, I would say that, like, a 3-year-old could probably beat this game without too much problem.
Some of the level design in Forgotten Land feels like the designers are counting the complexity of 3D movement itself as a point of difficulty, which, for younger gamers it might be, but for older gamers it's kind of just like it's about as natural as putting on shoes and walking out the front door. So
basic spatial awareness.
Yeah, you could just be like me and tank the hits. Too. Like, if there was one thing I could add to this game, it would be a harder mode than the hard mode that they've added.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that they made a point to include a hard mode, called it wild mode, and it gave you this piddly little 50 coin bonus for completing levels in it.
Yeah. I think there's not that much difference between the wild mode and the Spring Breeze mode. To the point where speedrunners, even though they like generally care about like having like they want to do things on the harder difficulty if possible, most people just run the casual mode because you end up losing like a minute after every level from the little pop-up that says, oh look, you got an extra 50 coins because you played on wild mode. It's like, great, thanks.
I'm not using this.
Yeah. Also, this level's awesome. The mall, like,
I'll never understand why speedrunners count compulsory non-gameplay segments as part of the time. Is it?
Some don't, some do. It just depends on the game.
So that is actually something that we've seen a little bit on certain games. Like, for example, Hollow Knight, as an example. Most people run on PC, so they have a special splitter that cuts out loading times when you're going between rooms, or I believe even on like some elevators and stuff like that. The reason why it's kept in for most games is just because for a long time we haven't had the tech to do that. And it's like without a program that does it automatically for you, it's like, well, what do you count? Like, do you count any time where you don't make any inputs? Do cutscenes count even if you can't skip them? It's mostly just a matter of logistics.
I know a lot of Sonic speedruns will not count the time between acts, specifically because they want to go as fast as possible and don't want to have to worry about the time bonus mattering.
Well, Sonic games also conveniently provide a timer that you can just use basic math to add up.
Yeah. I mean, Sonic is also one of the first games where I can think of, at least, where they cared about specifically how fast you finish the level versus how high of a score you could get. I'm having a hard time thinking of, well, I guess Mario.
Mario had a timer, but it was a timer that counted down, so...
I mean, you got more points if you ended the level quickly, but I haven't done the math on it, but I would assume that, like, doing fancy shit like multiple jumps on stuff would end up giving you more points than the points you would lose by spending more time doing the fancy shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like
you'd also get like 1-ups if you did enough of it.
Yeah. Although if you're going for a high score, you don't want to get 1-ups because you don't get any score for a 1-up, you know.
Well, I mean, the jumping combos would be like so many points per jump, and the score would go higher, and then when you hit like 10 combo hits, you'd get a 1-up at the end.
Yeah, so you have to if you want to go for the maximum high score, you have to stop at 9 so you don't ever get a 1-up. So you're only getting no 1-up, only points.
I wonder if there is a theoretical max points you could get in Super Mario Brothers. I mean, I'm sure there has to be.
I remember really liking the mall level when I first played through it, and it's got a lot
this
of fun.
this level's awesome.
Also, I like the frickin' horizontal conveyor belts that you see on like airports and stuff.
Unfortunately, I watched the something about Kirby 64, so all I can think about is that segment.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just this game does a really good job at charm. Again, like these little guys, they're just eating their lunch and you're dicking with them. You know,
everything's so cute and fanciful until Adeline shows up and sees it for what it really is.
Yeah. I mean, I love something about the guy who does Terminal Montage, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He does great stuff. I don't get the Kirby being Christian joke.
I don't either.
It's funny for being random, but like I don't get it. You know?
Yeah. What are we talking about now?
So there's a Flash artist. At least I don't. It might not be actual Flash, but
you know the style.
Yeah, like Newground style, where he has this series called Something About Game, and he makes like a short little video about like, you know, kind of in a parody style of what happens in that game. An example is he has something about Super Mario 64 speedruns, and he animates Mario doing the stupid ass shit you do in a Mario 64 speedrun, like backwards long jumping up the stairs and things like that. And he'll like break through a window and Bowser will go like, ah! You know, it's very 2007 Newgrounds. If you were watching
Sonic Shorts collection and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Less like bathroom humor, you know, and stuff. It's more just actual
relevant
jokes.
To the game. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just a random running joke in all of the Kirby ones is that Kirby's Christian. And so like at the end of the Something About Kirby 64 one, he goes to the final boss and is like, "Go now, my child, and spread the word of God," or something like that. And it's like as random internet humor where you can just say, "Haha, dishwasher," and it's funny. It works, but I mean, somebody would say so. Like that's
reminder. Like, we tried to make Spork a thing.
Yeah, like that was like 2008. That was peak. Just say random stuff and somebody will say it's funny. Time period.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't get like if the joke is just that it's random or if like I don't know, if like Kirby's just a pure soul, so that means he's Christian. I don't know. Like I think it's a little bit funnier. In the Christmas one he did, they like one of the jokes was that like they were saying grace at the meal for Christmas dinner, and Simon Belmont was there. And like that one's actually funny because Simon Belmont probably was Christian because like. He threw holy water at Dracula. You know. Although, now that I'm thinking about it...
Trevor Belmont in the Castlevania anime was not, like, even remotely religious. Like, at all. No. Yeah. He's like the stereotypical raging atheist, actually. But
even it's like even when he sees evidence of supernatural stuff, he's like... No,
well,
man.
like he just casually drops on Sifa in the 4th season that it's not actually like the holiness of crosses that hurts vampires. It's because they have highly evolved eyesight and shoving a big old geometric shape in their face confuses their brains and makes them panic. Yeah.
Which is a thing in nature, by the way.
Fun fact, Kirby, the apocalypse takes place in America because those are American plugs in the background. There. The more you know.
Wait, is that a thing in nature?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why like certain butterflies and snakes have weird ass color patterns on them. It's partly like a warning so that like certain animals don't mess with you.
I thought that was just like mating showiness.
You know, like many things in life, there's probably multiple purposes to these things.
Yeah, I guess I get it.
You know, like I can imagine, you know, if you're
that's kind of like dazzling though, the idea that what humans just find aesthetically pleasing is actually an evolutionary weapon against other species.
I mean, that is a thing.
But then we eat fermented foods and call it a delicacy, so I guess humans are just stupid.
I mean, but that is a thing in nature, you know, like we think babies are cute, so that will protect babies and they won't like die because they're babies. You know.
No, we're supposed. I mean, yes, but also at the same time, we find baby cries particularly annoying compared to any other sounds because we've evolved to where we want to, you know, to make sure the baby's needs are met.
Yeah.
So that's why we find them more annoying than any other sound.
Yeah, like
because we want them to shut up.
Yeah, that's like I've been helping watch my niece and nephew, and my niece is about 10 months old right now. And whenever she cries, it's the most stressful thing ever because it's just like, God, please stop. Please, no, please don't cry.
I like how they put the fourth donut directly over top of the level end goal. It's like, I got to this point in the level, and I was panicking. Like, did I miss a donut? How did I miss a donut? I went through the entire level. Oh, do I need to go back and explore the wrong paths? No.
I think I did that. I think I did that too.
The last donut was like right above the end goal.
Yeah. This game, I love this game. One thing that I think might be a little annoying is that when you start the level, you don't know what any of the super secret objectives are. And if you fail, like if you don't get all of them the first time through, let's say you get 2 of them, the game will reveal one extra one. So, like, it'll tell you, oh, make sure you don't get lost in the mall. But you still don't know what that 4th one is until you beat the level again. So, if you're not, like, the most skilled at these kind of games and you're not used to, like, what to look for secrets.
To be honest, though, as someone who's like not super familiar with Kirby and in general, I found the levels in general short enough that repeat playthroughs were more pleasant than exasperating.
That is true, because especially if you're not searching for stuff, but most levels are done in like 2 minutes. They're pretty short. It's the search that makes them longer.
Yeah, and you're probably like if you're semi-thorough but missing out on objectives here and there, the most you're likely going to play a given level is 3 times, I would say.
Yeah, probably. Like the first, like if you miss something the second time through, you'll almost certainly have like all of the hints by then.
I remember going for the par time in this level, and it involves like some death-defying leaps over that bottomless pit while you're skating around.
Yeah.
This is a really comfortable level to play through while you're just trying to play through it. But if you're trying to hit that par time, oh boy, you're pulling literal Sonic the Hedgehog shit to get through this.
Yeah,
and you got it.
It helps that this was like the 4th time I played the game. So
you still managed to get the par time, even though I said that though. Jesus.
Yeah, some of them took me a long time to get. Though, especially again, the combat is not something I'm particularly good at in Kirby. As Lewis saw when editing this stage, well, actually, you probably didn't see how long it took me, because I think I ended up cutting out some of my attempts to beat this with no hits.
As I recall, I ended up cutting like 5 or 6 minutes off of this part.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because I mean, the boss is very easy to beat, but like part of it is because it's slow, so you can just kind of rush up and do a lot of hits all at once.
Look at Kirby over there, just, casually balance walking up the escalator armrests. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I had forgotten which ability you needed to get the Waddle Dee here. So I'm
It's
like,
sword.
yeah. So I'm like, sure, I'll just keep my gun.
It'll always be one of the ones it gives you.
The ironically fastest way to beat these guys, though, is without an ability, because you can shoot the stars at them, and it does way more damage.
Yeah, if you get like 5 or 6 stars and hit, it does absurd damage. It's just actually getting that many is the hard part.
I found myself kind of surprised by how epic this first boss was, given that it's
pretty
Kirby.
cool. Well, like, we're used to the first boss being a tree that kind of just stands there and is trying to mind his own business. You know, so the fact that this guy is...
I mean, he's still here. We get to Guy Fieri in another world.
Yeah, but I honestly think that that's the best Wispy Woods fight. It's not Wispy Woods, but you know what I mean. In the series.
It's Guy Fieri.
Yeah, they managed to make it much more dynamic than usual. Oh, I completely forgot about the Bayonetta-ass dodging that this game has. Where
you have Bayo's dodge with the gun.
Yeah.
He learned it in Smash.
The thing is that I had completely forgotten about like the dodge and guard.
Dodging is actually really useful in this game.
So like in most Kirby games, when you're trying to beat the main story, you don't really need to use the dodge or the guard, because just dodging by moving and jumping is just as easy. In this game, the dodge is so OP, it ends up feeling necessary in some of the later fights. But once you get a hang of it, it's really good because it also gives you a lot more damage output. Because like when you dodge, you have a second to attack, and with certain weapons like the sword or ranger, you end up doing a lot more damage than normal, which is pretty great.
Yeah, but the boss waddle-dees are fairly simple. One's always time-based, one's always take no hits, one's beat with a certain weapon, and then one's unique to that boss fight.
Yeah. So like here, you don't see that one of them is don't get hit. So the first time you beat a boss, you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So yeah. This one took a while because I wanted to get it with the sword and don't get hit at the same time. Ironically, I was trying to do that to save time, but it probably would have been easier to just beat him with the sword and then play again with Ranger, but playing more cautiously. But, you know, whatever. I love Waddle Dee Town. Just any thing in a game like this where you feel that sense of progression is just really nice when you see, like, how...
I love that the first thing they built was a movie theater. If
you talk to the guy inside, he's like... Cause having fun's important. And it's like, don't you need a place to sleep? No. Lord of the Rings marathon.
This coming from the video game company who routinely, makes their workers do crunch shifts. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see how it is. Frickin' industry corporate.
Yeah.
Puffball pigs. I'm talking about the Waddle Dees, not Nintendo.
Not Nintendo. I mean, now that they're not working for DDD anymore, I think that they have a healthier work-life balance, I would imagine. We formed
the union, Kirby.
I mean, for one thing, they're getting paid now, so that's something. Kirby, I want to watch a movie, Elflin, Lord of the Rings marathon. Didn't you hear me?
All 32 MCU movies in a row. No stopping.
Is it only 32?
And the miniseries.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh.
Okay, you see, you actually had me going there until you said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, you could at the very least, like, go get up and get lunch during, like, Iron Man 2 and, like, the kind of medium movies.
Why did it have to be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and not, like, the Netflix shows?
Yeah, like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is, like, a good 4 seasons of TV where you would just have to, like, clock out and, I don't know, like, read a book or something. You could probably read 2 or 3 by the time you're done with Agents of Shield. Agents of Shield.
The Netflix shows are basically just long MCU movies.
Yeah, pretty much. Speaking of, I'm really far behind. They brought them back, right? Like
They brought Daredevil back as a Disney Plus continuation, but I don't know how much of a continuation it's going to be.
Okay. Like I haven't watched anything since literal Endgame, so
yeah, like I don't know what they're doing with Jessica Jones or
nothing at the moment.
Luke Cage or Iron Fist.
Also nothing at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of screwed up Iron Fist, so they...
Well, they did, but then they did another season that went in an interesting direction with what they had, so, you know, it's not an unsalvageable mess, and it could go places. It just depends.
I would love for them to do more with Jessica Jones, because she was the best one of the Netflix stuff, but...
her first season was good. I don't remember much about her second season, but I remember not liking it as much.
First season, I think, is like one of the best Marvel things, period.
On the other hand, Jessica Jones was probably one of the best parts of the Defenders, so... because she's like as you would expect of Jessica Jones, she's the member of the group who's just not having the other shit. So.
She's also like stronger than the other three put together, so you know she kind of carries in that sense. Like look at this place. They like upholstered and got leather seats before they even built a bed for anybody to sleep in. I don't know what's up with these guys. But yeah, we unlocked the weapon shop first. That's what lets us upgrade the weapons. Obviously. You will start finding these blueprints in the levels starting in World 2. You need the blueprints to upgrade a specific level, a specific weapon, and you need rare stones, which you only get in the like challenge rooms. To like as
you don't only get them in the challenge rooms. There are other ways to get rare stones, like in gifts and stuff.
Oh yeah. I remember when I was doing the race for the charity room, I put in the end game codes that you're supposed to find after you 100% the game, to get like 6 of them so that I could buy my way to Meta Knight Sword, which is OP. Meta Knight Sword is OP.
Sword in general is pretty OP in this game.
Yeah, so Sword has the benefit of being one of the few abilities in this game that has multiple moves. Mostly just because you have the sword do more things just by like alternating holding and mashing and stuff like that.
You can also do the frickin' Sonic and the Black Knight spin attack, which is neat.
Yeah, but like when you're throwing bombs, for example, there's not as much like stuff you can do with just throwing bombs.
They
didn't really bring back any of the... They didn't bring back a lot of the abilities from the other Kirby games that had the more complex movesets. Sword was really the only one that they did that for. And even then, it still doesn't have all the moves from the old games. But again, I don't mind it because the bosses are generally... I find having less moves, honestly, means that I'm fighting the bosses more thoughtfully than in other games. Especially Star Allies. In Star Allies, I felt like I was button mashing through many of the bosses. Although I think part of that might be due to the fact that I have more... Like, you have the friends who just pump out damage without you having to do literally anything. That might have more to do with it. But with that said, I feel like, I'm more trying to fight a boss fight than just throwing attacks at the boss until it dies in this game. And having less just stuff to do to like chain combos together made me feel that way.
I think it also has to do with the fact that we're moving around and dodging in 3D, which I feel always like... Well, not always, but generally speaking, it makes combat feel more dynamic, even when it's technically not.
There's only so much space to dodge in 2D,
So it feels more like when you're dodging stuff in 2D, I find it feels more like you're platforming around moving obstacles than dodging attacks in combat.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.